Man, the Indiana Fever might be screwed, and we have to break this down with everybody being so thirsty, jumping at all of these other leagues, jumping at all of this other money alongside the WNBA CBA negotiation, which is looking to add 54, make the season 54 games. So they're trying to add 10 more games on top of what they played last season. This presents a serious scheduling conflict for the WNBA and Project B, as these two seem like
the Indiana Fever played a dangerous game. They gambled with their roster, banking on loyalty in a cutthroat league, and now fans are erupting. A beloved star, Sophie Cunningham, is suddenly on the chopping block, potentially gone forever. This isn't just about losing a player. It's a colossal miscalculation that threatens to unravel the very foundation built around Caitlyn Clark's arrival. The WNBA's new landscape demands ruthless decisions, and Indiana may have just sealed its own fate, alienating fans and jeopardizing its future. The silence from the front office is deafening as the weight of their oversight comes crashing down. This situation is far worse than anyone imagined, a true nightmare unfolding for the franchise.
Calendar. Now, this is a problem. Kelsey Mitchell is signed with Project B. Kelsey Mitchell is not signed in the WNBA right now. Let's be clear here. So, how is that supposed to work? How's that supposed to work? Are they going to let her miss parts of Project B so she could play in the WNBA? I highly doubt it. Here says the Startup League, which plans for its inaugural season to begin November and extend through April, said this week that its Tokyo tournament stop will start March 26, 2027. Now, check this out. Here it says, let's get to the meat and potatoes, man.
The core problem stems from the WNBA's prolonged CBA negotiations, which have hijacked the entire offseason. League business has effectively been put on pause, preventing the Fever from making crucial moves to solidify their roster. This standstill means no free agent offers can be sent and no contracts can be signed, leaving key players stuck in limbo. The delay creates a compressed window for critical transactions, forcing rushed decision-making that could result in even more costly mistakes. This pause isn't just an inconvenience. It's a strategic nightmare for a team that desperately needs to capitalize on its newly found star power.
And potatoes. Boom. According to a source familiar with negotiations, the WNBA is proposing an increase from 44 games to 50 to 54 games in the new CBA. The league's proposed start date for training camp is as early as mid-March, with the finals ending in November. A number of league sources expressed confusion over a potential mid-March start date, questioning how training camp could overlap with the NCAA schedule and what the expectation would be for rookies. Training camp started April 27 last season, 2 weeks.
One of the most immediate threats comes from the WNBA's proposed schedule change. The league is pushing to expand to a 54-game season, adding a massive 10 extra games. But that's only part of the problem. They're also advocating for an extremely early start date, with training camps potentially opening in mid-March. This dramatic shift sets up a direct collision with other major basketball commitments, most notably Project B, a rival league where Fever star Kelsey Mitchell has already signed a lucrative contract. The conflict is unavoidable, forcing players into impossible choices and setting the stage for a potential roster crisis in Indiana.
Project B and the WNBA seem to be on a collision course. Now, even if they don't start in March and they start the season later, Project B, they're still going to bump into Project B's schedule. How's that going to work when you got players under contract in the WNBA and signing to Project B? How's this going to work? There's going to have to start being some sort of exclusivity in these deals to where you can't play in this league. You can't play in that league. That's what it's going to have to be, or else it's just going to be a big issue. Here it says on Sports Illustrated, Indiana Fever face big decisions once WNBA CBA is done. WNBA.
Kelsey Mitchell's commitment to Project B has become a ticking time bomb for the Fever. With her contract already locked in for the new league and Project B's Tokyo tournament scheduled to begin on March 26, 2027, the collision is unavoidable. The WNBA's proposed March training camp start directly overlaps. Will the Fever force Mitchell to miss portions of Project B? Or will she prioritize that contract and risk missing significant WNBA time? This goes far beyond a simple scheduling headache. It's a test of player loyalty and contractual obligations that could tear the team apart before the season even tips off.
Sports Illustrated, Indiana Fever face big decisions once WNBA CBA is done. WNBA business is on pause amid CBA negotiations, but the Indiana Fever must prepare for when the floodgates open. Now, here it says the WNBA CBA negotiations have hijacked the offseason with league business put on pause until a new deal is done. Now, we all know everything is on pause right now, right? They wanted to send out free agent offers. They said, nope, don't send out nothing. We're not going to sign anything, all of this stuff. Now, we only got Michaela Timpson, Caitlyn Clark, and Aaliyah Boston under contract. Sophie Cunningham already told y'all she's not trying to take a...
The WNBA's push for more games and an earlier start completely ignores the critical role of the NCAA tournament. Shifting the season into March or early April would create a direct conflict with the Final Four, one of the biggest spotlights for emerging rookies. That moment is essential for building momentum and introducing future stars, like Caitlyn Clark, to a broader audience before they ever step onto a WNBA court. By forcing an earlier start, the league risks cannibalizing its own talent pipeline and draining the hype from its most anticipated draft classes. It's a terrible idea that actively undermines the league's own growth strategy.
Disrespected by Stephanie White and this new crew that came in here throwing their weight around, throwing her to the back burner for Dewana the Scammer, Bonner, and Natasha Howard, and all these people that was absolute trash for the team. Throwing her to the back burner just for her to show up and save everybody's ass again. It's a core four, not a big three. Lexi Hall is a part of the Caitlyn Clark, Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell core, and she needs to be treated as such. Here it says, given more transactions than ever will take place in a condensed period of time with players needing to be protected, signed, and drafted. Okay, to expand.
Adding to the chaos, the upcoming expansion draft looms large, threatening to strip the Fever of even more valuable assets. Last year, Indiana lost Temi Fagbennel to the Golden State Valkyries. This time, the rules are expected to be even harsher, with teams likely allowed to protect only 5 players instead of 6. That reduction intensifies the pressure on Indiana's front office, forcing agonizing decisions about who stays and who goes. The prospect of losing a key contributor without fair compensation is a bitter pill to swallow, especially for a franchise trying to build a true championship contender around Caitlyn Clark.
She will wind up back with the Fever regardless. Now, if you don't protect Sophie Cunningham, you're running a risk. Because if I'm the Toronto Tempo or the Portland Fire, I'm definitely going to sign Sophie Cunningham, and I'm definitely going to pay her because due to her being next to Caitlyn Clark, she's become a household name in the WNBA. She's going to help me maybe sell some tickets, even though she's not a max level player. She still benefits my organization, her being on the team with her brand and image being up because of Caitlyn Clark. So if you don't protect Sophie Cunningham, she's good as gone. That's why I'm saying the Indiana Fever.
The protection dilemma is where the Fever's biggest mistake becomes painfully clear. Caitlyn Clark, Aaliyah Boston, Kelsey Mitchell, and Lexi Hull are all considered locks for protection, leaving just one remaining spot. Debate rages over who should claim that final slot. Nalissa Smith, still on a rookie deal, or fan favorite Sophie Cunningham, who has become a household name thanks to her proximity to Clark's meteoric rise. This is not a decision the team wants to make, but it underscores the precarious position they've put themselves in, with limited protection slots and so many high-value players.
If the WNBA goes to 54 games, but they start the season later and it trickles on further into November, further down the line, and it interferes with Kelsey Mitchell's Project B contract, what happens? This is what I'm saying, man. This could get crazy. This could get absolutely crazy. But one thing's for sure, two things for certain. KTV gonna keep you updated on everything going on. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the channel, and get down in those comments. I'll see you on the next one.
Leaving Sophie Cunningham unprotected is a catastrophic gamble. She has publicly expressed her desire to return to the Fever, but she also wants a max contract and to buy a house, signaling she won't accept a pay cut. Any new expansion franchise, like Toronto or Portland, would jump at the chance to sign her. Her enhanced brand and image, amplified by her association with Caitlyn Clark, make her an instant asset for ticket sales and team popularity. Risking her departure isn't just losing a player, it's squandering a tangible benefit derived directly from the Caitlyn Clark effect. Sophie Cunningham's situation isn't about sentiment, it's about shrewd business. She's a known quantity, a proven contributor whose market value has skyrocketed. Failing to protect her means not only potentially losing her, but also empowering a rival expansion team with a ready-made fan base and media attention. This oversight highlights a severe misjudgment of player value and market dynamics in the post-Clark era. The Fever are essentially handing an opponent a competitive advantage while struggling to retain their own core. Kelsey Mitchell's contract demands are another major hurdle. She will undoubtedly require a max contract to remain with the Fever, a significant financial commitment. Combine this with Sophie Cunningham's top-tier pay requests and the necessity to secure Lexi Hull, and the Fever salary cap is stretched to the absolute limit, with only Caitlyn Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and Alyssa Smith under contract on existing deals. Indiana faces a monumental task, resigning and protecting its entire core without going bankrupt or losing talent. Lexi Hull's treatment adds yet another point of contention. Reports highlight the previous coaching staff's disrespect, leaving her on the back burner. Despite this, she consistently showed up and delivered when it mattered most. Hull is integral to the core for alongside Clark, Boston, and Mitchell, and she deserves to be treated accordingly. Failing to prioritize her protection and fair compensation would be a grave error. Disrespecting a crucial player who has repeatedly proven her worth could erode team morale. The WNBA's insistence on an earlier start date also creates a direct conflict with Project B, regardless of how the WNBA adjusts its season length. Even if it pushes later into November, it will still overlap with Project B's schedule, where players like Kelsey Mitchell are already committed. This sets the league on a collision course. Either allow players to juggle conflicting schedules, which is unsustainable, or enforce exclusivity clauses in WNBA contracts. This decision will have profound implications for player agency and the future of professional women's basketball. The concept of exclusivity deals is rapidly becoming unavoidable. With players signing contracts across multiple leagues, a scheduling conflict is inevitable. The WNBA, aiming to capitalize on its newfound attention, will likely push for players to commit solely to the league. Such a move could force players to choose between the WNBA and other lucrative opportunities, like Project B, fundamentally reshaping the professional landscape, potentially alienating top talent who seek to maximize their earnings and playing opportunities. Such restrictions would be a huge blow to player freedom and could generate serious resentment. Currently, the Fever have only 3 players, Caitlyn Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and Melissa Smith, under guaranteed contracts for the foreseeable future. This extreme lack of roster stability, combined with ongoing CBA negotiations, leaves the team facing an unprecedented number of free agency decisions in a compressed time frame. They must re-sign nearly their entire roster as soon as the green light is given, a daunting task with little room for error and a high risk of losing key components to other teams. The WNBA's proposed earlier start date is a disastrous strategic move for both player development and fan engagement. By shortening the off-season and overlapping with the NCAA tournament, rookies entering the league will have less time to prepare, build hype, and transition smoothly. It also diminishes the impact of the draft, a critical moment for generating excitement. Rather than leveraging every opportunity to grow the game, the league seems intent on creating internal conflicts that undermine the very stars it relies on for ratings. The Fever's dilemma is further compounded by the aggressive competition from other leagues and opportunities, including Project B, which vie for player talent and money. This increased competition gives players more leverage and options than ever before. With the WNBA trying to add more games and start earlier, they risk pushing players toward more stable or lucrative alternatives elsewhere. This makes Indiana's roster decisions even more critical and prone to irreversible mistakes. The uncertainty surrounding the CBA negotiations has created a domino effect for the Fever. From roster construction to player retention, every aspect of off-season planning is essentially frozen. This inaction, while necessary for the league, leaves the team vulnerable. They cannot react to the market, cannot secure their talent, and cannot strategically plan for the future. The longer this goes on, the more likely the Fever will be caught flat-footed when the floodgates finally open. Adding to the pressure, the claim that the WNBA can't maintain ratings without Caitlyn Clark adds irony to the situation. While her arrival has undeniably boosted viewership, the league's proposed changes and the Fever struggles to retain key players threaten to undermine that very success. If the team surrounding Clark is weakened by poor decisions or forced departures, the ratings bubble could burst, proving that star power alone is insufficient without a stable, competitive team around her. The Indiana Fever are facing a truly nasty predicament, with the real possibility of losing Sophie Cunningham and navigating scheduling conflicts with Kelsey Mitchell. These aren't minor setbacks, they are fundamental cracks in the team's foundation, threatening to derail momentum before Caitlyn Clark's second season even begins. The consequences of these potential missteps could linger for years, impacting team chemistry, fan loyalty, and the ability to build a championship contender around their generational talent. Ultimately, the Fever's current situation highlights a profound strategic misstep, not just by the team, but potentially by the league itself. With the world's eyes on Caitlyn Clark, the focus should be on stability and maximizing her impact. Instead, Indiana faces a perfect storm of CBA conflicts, expansion draft threats, and critical player retention battles. Fans are erupting because they see a golden opportunity slipping away, jeopardizing a bright future that should have been secured, not endangered, by the arrival of basketball's biggest star.